welcome to the Esoteric Empire. So today I wanted to talk about the difference between feminine and masculine Scorpio signs. So let's talk about what Scorpio is in its totality as far as the planet that it's ruled by. Scorpio is ruled by Pluto currently as the modern ruler. In ancient times, it was ruled by Mars. And the reason why this is important is because you can kind of see a certain duality. There's a lot that goes into Scorpio. Scorpio is a sign of bondage. It's a sign of commitment, I would say. It's the sign of transformation for a lot of people. And these are things that can be very dark. These are things that are not always the easiest to acknowledge or to feel. Scorpio is a water sign. It's fixed water. So Scorpio energy, whether it's your sun, your moon, your rising, whatever it may be, is the energy of the deepest form of an emotional setting. So your deepest, darkest feelings towards a certain situation. And because it's so deep and there's so much thought and energy that's put into it, a lot of times Scorpio's feelings towards certain things do not change. It's locked, it's fixed. Now, when we're talking about the feminine version of Scorpio, so there's a few Scorpio feminine signs that I'm thinking of. Jocelyn Hernandez, Kaya, Whoopi Goldberg is a Scorpio. There's a lot of people who are Scorpios. So Scorpio women, they do not all act the same, but they are very, very, very intense. And intense in a way that as the women, especially when they're balanced, they tend to not care. They don't care how a person perceives them, or that's how it comes across. When you really look into a Scorpio, you see the real them. So the almost fiery nature, even though it's a water sign, it's a very fiery intensity that they have. And they don't mind exposing what they think is okay. They rather talk about things that are kind of vulgar or things that push people away, whether it be sex or whether it be fighting or whether it be things like abortion, things that just really would make people be like, what? You know, it makes people back up, and that's that stinger. So when a Scorpio woman does that, they'll show that openly because they don't mind being open. But when you get to know them, you'll see that the side that they don't want people to see is a very vulnerable, soft side of themselves. So they off-put the person by basically scaring them, showing their fangs. But what they really have within them is a very soft and hurt, usually it's a very hurt person. The more that they're intense like this, the more that they're hurt on the inside. And it's not a negative or a positive thing. It's just, it is what it is. Being that Pluto is the modern ruler, a lot of Scorpios in this time seem to be very distant. Like you can get answers out of them, you can get laughter, you can get joy, you can get all these emotions out of them, but them, who they are at their core, it seems so far away. It can seem so far away, and they can seem almost cold at times. Like they have a very dark sense of humor sometimes. And it's not because they try to, it's just them. But the root of it is really deep emotions towards something that may have happened in their past or may have hurt them and scarred them. And so they do come off as very bold as a way to protect themselves. And this is, you know, a lot of women go through this no matter what the sign is, but Scorpio has a very keen way of being very consistent. They have an almost addictive personality to whatever they're into. Whatever they do, whatever they're into, whatever their cycle is, they stick to that until they're ready to transform into the phoenix. Scorpios have a tendency to stay stuck to a cycle until they break it. And that's part of what they're supposed to learn, especially Scorpio sun signs or Scorpio rising signs. So a lot of the time, like I said, the way a Scorpio feels about you is the way that they feel. No matter how long they've talked to you, how long they may have not talked to you. When they come back towards you, they're going to have the same energy unless they have completely transformed as a person. And this transformation usually is astronomical. I mean, this could be a person who was just the darkest, meanest, scariest, evilest, devilish person, and then when you meet them 15 years later and they come towards you, they have the same feelings, but they're showing a completely different side. And Scorpio is notorious for that energy. When we come to Scorpio men, I'm not going to call out any Scorpio men just because like I just can't think of any right now, but Scorpio men are actually the opposite. Very, very quiet, usually very mysterious, very, very quiet. And the reason why is because, one, they're just focused on what they're focused on. Two, they have a way of protecting those that they actually care about in a very emotional way. So the reason why Scorpio males are like that is because they don't really want to show how they can be when things are unbalanced. So they really take the time to stay very secluded, because I think they just prefer that privacy. And a lot of the things that they're bonded to, just like the Scorpio females, they are bound to that. And it's easier for a male, especially being such an emotional sign, with it being a water sign, fixed water. They are definitely emotional, and that's why they show it within their sexual activities, and they're very deep when it comes to that. Like, it's not just sex for them. For Scorpio men, it's a form of locking something down when they're balanced. And so Scorpio men, I think, contrary to popular belief, can actually be very, very faithful. They have a lot that's within them, just like the Scorpio female, but they don't show it. So that's the difference. Scorpio females will show, they'll talk about a lot of things that are just morbid or taboo. Scorpio men, they don't want to say anything. They don't want to say anything about anything, whether it's regular or controversial. It doesn't matter. They don't want to say anything, because what they feel is so deep, they're afraid that all of that's going to bubble up to the top, unless they're around people that they actually have a bond with. And a notorious Scorpio male is Drake. And people have a lot to say about Drake. I think he's one of the best actors of all time, but he's also a very accomplished rapper. And when I say actor, I'm being facetious. But he definitely has taken that role. And a lot of his music, whether he's written it or not, his delivery is almost like you're learning him. When you go into, like, what you see, his singles and stuff are very, like, just normal stuff, just, you know, whatever it is. But when you really get into his albums, he always exposes a lot, and cold. So even him exposing is still this cold. Like, you have to dissect it. You have to really get deep. And that's what it is to be around a Scorpio male. You have to dissect that person. They're not just going to come out and tell you everything, even when they do trust you. Scorpios have a very hard time trusting, because once they are locked in, they're locked in. Understand that addiction and cycles do also go with the sign of Scorpio. But when a Scorpio is balanced, they'll help you with your addictions and your boundaries, and they help you with bondage. They help you understand that you're being too attached to something. They are real. A lot of the time, especially the Scorpio women, are very real. Like, they're just raw. They're just, you know, because what they feel on a day-to-day basis, especially when they're really going through something, is so deep. Being real and being honest to them is nothing. It's a piece of cake. It's a piece of cake. Now, they don't always want you to be that real and honest with them, but the ones who are balanced will appreciate that. So there's not much of a difference between Scorpio men and female, besides the point that Scorpio women are a little bit more out there with their deepness and their rawness, and the Scorpio men are a little bit more subdued and very quiet. But it all is stemming from something that they don't want to expose. Something that they would only keep under wraps for certain people or one person. So contrary to what people believe, Scorpios are very, very, when they're balanced, they're very sacred to what they are held to, bound to, obligated to. They don't play when it comes to their obligations. So shout out to all the Scorpios out there. If what I said made sense to you, make sure you leave a like. If you want to see another sign and you want to hear me talk about the difference between male and female, whatever, or just the sign in general, make sure you leave a comment on this video, and I'll see you in the next one.